Well, hi, I'm Andrew Laird from City Bible Forum, and this is my colleague Caroline Spencer on screen with me. Look, at City Bible Forum, we are aware that many of us are in a period of transition. For some of us, it's struggling to feel connected to our colleagues in a new hybrid workspace. Others of us are in between jobs or considering leaving our current workplaces altogether. And so City Bible Forum's actually put together a care package to help you or others you might know work through this period of transition. But look, before we get to that, chances are that you may know one of us, but not the other on screen. So Caroline, maybe you can introduce yourself. Where are you based and what do you do with City Bible Forum?
Yes, hi Andrew and hi everyone. I'm Caroline. I work as a mentor and trainer and I work in Sydney for City Bible Forum. What about for you, Andrew?
Yeah, so I'm based in Melbourne and been working with City Bible Forum for almost 8 years. And I head up the Life at Work conference, which is our annual conference for Christians in the workplace, thinking about how their faith shapes their life and their witness in that context. So that's a little bit about us. But as I just mentioned a moment ago, we have put together a care package of resources to help you and other workers in this time of transition. But Caroline, what are your thoughts on this care package that we've put together?
Yes, you'd think I'd give an enthusiastic thumbs up since I helped to produce some of those resources in that care package. But in all honesty, I think a care package, while I think it's a great initiative, it just makes me feel a little bit overwhelmed. And that's because I know that as a follower of Jesus, I should be doing good. You know, I should be loving my neighbour and taking up opportunities to share Jesus when I can. And yet I'm finding at the moment, there are some days where it just takes all my energy to get through the day. And so, yes, I think a care package is a wonderful initiative, but it does make me feel slightly guilty about the things that I know I should be doing now, but are struggling to do. What about for you, Andrew?
Look, very similar, Caroline. I feel the same in terms of, there's just sometimes it feels like all the energy I've got in the wake of what's gone on the last 18 to 20 months. I've just got enough energy just to get through the bare essentials of what's required each day, let alone thinking about how can I love others and serve others and pour myself out for others and also seeking to share my faith with others in this season as well too, where people perhaps are more open to thinking about those bigger questions of life in the wake of what we've gone through together as a country and globally. And, part of me wants to, be doing those things and being that kind of person. But yes, like you, I just feel that fatigue and exhaustion from the past year and a half or so. And yeah, so an element of guilt can come in for me as well too. And like you, I also help produce some of these resources in this care package. So you'd think I'd be pretty excited about it too. But yes, I also feel that, oh gosh, I just getting through the day is enough at the moment, let alone thinking about anyone else and sharing my faith with anyone else. And look, if you're watching this and you feel the same way too, well, hopefully Caroline and I have assured you that we certainly feel a similar sort of sentiment. But look, Caroline, before we maybe talk about solutions to how we overcome this fatigue and this tiredness and this feeling of blah that many of us might be feeling at the moment, could you perhaps unpack a little bit what the last 18 months has been like for you, and how do you see it having led to this place that you feel like you're in at the moment?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Like most people in Sydney, I've enjoyed a enduring lockdown, and I'd have to say though that's probably been the least stressful thing for me this year. We've had a major work restructure, and also my mum died earlier this year, and so there's been a lot of change in my life over the last 18 months, and it's been initially negative change, I mean, positive things have come out of the lockdown, of the work restructure, even with my mum dying, but it's been a big change, a big transition. And someone once said to me that change is exhausting, even when it's good change. And so I'm really feeling that at the moment. And I know I'm feeling it because I've been having a lot more power naps in the afternoon just to get through the day. And I do wonder what's going to happen when I need to go back to the office and I can't power nap there. But I also think that these power naps or need for power naps is an indication of the season that I'm in at the moment. Yeah. So that's a bit of my story. Andrew, what about for you?
Yeah, it looks similar and different, although just on the power naps, maybe you can get a little portable bed or something you just sort of roll out from under your desk if you need to. But look, I think the lockdowns which we've had in Melbourne, which feel like it's been endless and has really certainly taken its toll on me. And it's kind of a slow burn. I was saying to someone the other day that it just sort of creeps up on you, the way that it's taking it out of you and impacting on your physical well-being and your mental well-being and all other aspects of life. For me, working from home and then having 3 children at home here as well too, doing their remote learning, it's just it's felt like chaos at times. And there have been days when you sort of think, how on earth do we kind of keep going through this? And I've had the added challenge as well of my father, who's in Sydney, has been significantly unwell this year and had major surgery in the middle of the year. And so I've really felt that distance with borders shut and wanting to be there and be present with him and my mother as well and seek to care for them, and just not being easily able to. And obviously many of us have spoken about all the things that we previously took for granted that we recognize now we need to be thankful for. And one of those things was just the ease with which I could just jump on a plane and travel to Sydney and without thinking twice about it. But so I've really felt the distance geographically as well this past year between family and being unable to visit them. And I think that's also that's certainly added to the feeling of tiredness and just mental exhaustion as well too that I've been feeling.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Maybe it'd be good now to talk about moving forward.
Yeah.
So what we're going to take with us as we move forward in this period of transition, which has continued in some ways. I know for me, since this care package was being put together, it's made me think a lot more about the notion of doing good. And one thing I've realised is that doing good, and so that by that I mean, loving my neighbour and taking opportunities to share Jesus, it is actually going to cost me in terms of time, energy, and resources. And it's interesting because I'm familiar with the story of the parable of the Good Samaritan, and yet I don't think I realised that there is a cost involved in doing good. It's hard work because of the cost that's involved. And so that's been helpful to realise. And I think at the moment I'm particularly feeling the cost because I just don't have the energy to pay it. And that's actually exposed a problem for me, which is I tend to, when it comes to life, my default operating position is just to rely on my own strength. So I think, oh, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then off I go, which, is a problem when you just don't have the energy to be able to do that. But also it's such a shame because Jesus has very rich and wonderful resources that I could tap into, if I chose to. And so, in the last week or so, I've been thinking about this concept, this notion of doing good, and how I need to lean into Jesus a lot more and ask God more often for strength to do whatever is before me. So, yes, I think it's been good for me to realise what I need to do first is actually just to lean into Jesus. Yeah, so that's a bit of my story. What about for you, Andrew, moving forward?
Yeah, look, I mean, I found similar practices helpful too. And if I can just build on what you've said there, that I'm similar too in that my default position so often is to rely on my own strength, and it's only when you kind of reach the end of your tether that I might then think, oh, hang on, I should really be leaning into God and relying on Him to strengthen and enable me for the tasks of each day, and the doing good to others, and the sharing Jesus with others. And so I have found that it has made me more prayerful, which has been a good thing. I should be doing that anyway, but it's when you've found yourself kind of with nothing left to give, it's really has encouraged me to pray more about Him being at work and enabling me and strengthening me to do what I just simply cannot do on my own, which is true in all of life, but it's in this season that it's just become more acute. And I mean, I give a small example of that. City Bible Forum's been running a number of online outreach events in recent weeks, and I've sort of thought, oh, yeah, that looks fantastic. I should invite someone along to it, but I just feel tired. And, if I invite someone, then I follow them up. And this sounds terrible, doesn't it? In terms of working for City Bible Forum. And as we encourage others and those perhaps watching to use these events. But I just sort of thought, just the energy at the moment for it is so low. But so I've been praying more and praying more for the people who I want to see come to faith. And I've seen God actually answering prayers to that end more in the last few weeks than perhaps previous times where I've prayed less, which shouldn't surprise me, but nevertheless, it's been wonderful to experience. And even just in the past week or so, a friend tuning in who I didn't anticipate would actually follow through on it, but tuning in to watch one of the outreach events that City Bible Forum has had online, and his response being so positive to what he heard, and his enthusiasm to keep talking with me about it. And it's just been so encouraging for me to think I had nothing to give, really. And I balked even at the thought of wanting to invite because of what it would require of me to do. And yet God has given me the strength and the energy to do that. And then a response from this person that was far more positive than I could have anticipated. And as a result, encouraged me and given me, I guess, a sense of energy to want to keep having conversations with him. So that leaning into him, and particularly in prayer, has been such an important thing for me to remember, but to practice. So that's, I guess something for me in recent times in terms of navigating this fatigue and this weariness we might all feel. And so I think this has been helpful, Caro, as we've discussed, and hopefully those watching have been encouraged by it as well too. And as great as resources are, what we have in Jesus is just so much richer and deeper. And as followers of Jesus, that's really where we should be going to first.
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree, Andrew. I think if I've learned anything over these last 18 months, it's the need to continue to lean into Jesus and make use of his wonderful strength. Yeah. And to see what he can do, which is often so much bigger than what I can expect. Yeah. So that's very, very encouraging. Andrew, now that we've had this conversation, I think we can talk about this care package. I feel like that sense of overwhelmedness that I've had, a sense of guilt. I think I've been able to put that into better perspective as I've thought about leaning into Jesus. So with this care package, could you maybe talk about something in that package that you find helpful and others might find helpful too?
Yeah, look, I'll mention two things briefly. The first one is the care package includes one of the recent episodes of the new Life at Work conference podcast. And it's an interview with a guy by the name of Alan Bullman, who who's a director of the Australian Takeovers panel, and he has a staff team. And in that interview, he was reflecting on what he's done well and actually what he hasn't done well in caring for his staff as a Christian boss through this particular season. And look, it's just a wonderfully refreshing interview because Alan is so honest about all of the mistakes that he made early on, and even, continues to. And he's so honest about, in hindsight, what he wished he had done and the things that he had communicated to his staff in order to care for them as he could see them working ridiculously long hours and getting tired. And so not having stepped in and communicated clearly his expectations of people as they were in lockdown and working from home. But in addition to sharing all of his failings, which is wonderfully refreshing, and you learn from that as well too. He talks about some of the things he's trying to do now as a Christian boss to love his staff well. They know he's a Christian, and to demonstrate to them that he is concerned for them and for their well-being as they continue to feel the fatigue of what they've gone through. So that interview I found very encouraging. And the other thing there is just a short piece that I have written on the dangers of going back to the workplace, but particularly helping us think about how we can love our colleagues who are feeling what you and I have been describing. They're likely feeling the same as well too. And so the opportunities that it actually presents this season for us to be vulnerable and share with our colleagues, kind of in the way that you and I have just shared with one another now, the fatigue and the exhaustion that we have been feeling, but also, as well as that, to do also what we have done now as well, which is to share where our strength and our hope comes from in this time. And so there's a short article there, short blog piece, just to reflect on how we can have those kind of conversations with our colleagues, of being vulnerable about our weariness as well too, but also point to the hope and the strength that we find in Christ. So there are a couple of things. What about you, Caroline? Something in the care package that you found helpful?
Yes, I mean, there's a lot in there that I found helpful, but one thing in particular that I'd like to talk about, there's a blog on the Great Resignation, or the Big Quit. So there's a phenomenon in the US where millions of people have just upped and left their jobs, and they're looking for something more fulfilling. That's kind of post-pandemic, what's happened. And they expect that it'll come to Australia around March next year. And I think that's going to be a really unsettling period for people, whether you're one of the ones that gets up and leaves, or if you're one of the ones that stays behind. And so it's going to be another period of uncertainty. And yeah, I think it's great to think about, well, where as a follower of Jesus do I find my sense of fulfillment, and how would I actually communicate that to someone who doesn't share the faith perspective that I have? So I found that a helpful read in preparation for something that may be happening now for us, or may happen early next year.
Yeah. No, there is so much churn, there's so much change. And as you said earlier on, change, even if it's good change, is exhausting. And so it's good to be mindful that of ourselves, but also of the people that we work with, and how we can love them in this season and show Christ's love to them and speak of Christ's love to them as well. Well, look, thanks, Caroline. I've really enjoyed. It's almost been a little bit like a therapy session with you just now, sharing about, I guess, the challenge that many of us are feeling, and the tiredness and the fatigue that we're feeling, and yet the wonderful hope that we have in Christ, and the being able to lean into him for strength, and as we have done that, have found him to be strong and to enable us to be the people that he wants us to be, to do good towards others and make Christ known. So thanks so much for joining me and being able to talk together about this. And look, if you're wanting to check out this care package that Caroline and I have been referring to, then a link is coming up on, a URL is coming up on the screen now, which you can head along to, but it's very, very, very easy to find. It's citybibleforum.org/care package. And you can head along there and get a whole number of resources that Caroline and I have mentioned, and others as well too, that will hopefully not create a sense of burden or guilt for you, but rather encourage you in this season that we are in of transition. And of course, I should also say that in addition to all of those resources, as good as resources are, there's nothing like one-to-one conversation with people. And City Bible Forum staff right around the country are always keen for a chat and keen for a coffee, particularly where we can do it in person now as well too. And so don't hesitate to reach out to us if you want to talk through any of these issues that we've been exploring today, or anything else for that matter, in terms of sharing your faith in the workplace. Well, thanks, Caroline. Great to chat, and maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Thanks, Andrew. Have a good day.
You too.